Hi, everybody. My name's Al, and I'm going to go through how to do some pinup letters. If you're a sign maker and you're using a CNC router, this is a really easy way to make letters that a PVC, acrylic, and other softer materials generally run on a CNC router. Whether you're using a T-slot at table or a vacuum setup, you can apply these same practices. If you're a Flexi or Corel Draw user, you can import your VXF files and do the mirror work in here, or uh, you could do that in your primary CAD package. All right, let's go ahead and kind of get into it. Now, we're using Bobcat version 25 here. This is a really good piece of software. It's going to make it easy for pretty much anybody to get up and running really quickly. And, Easel and all these other packages, Fusion 360, there's a bunch of them out there. So you're more than welcome to have your go at it. But in my opinion, this is going to be a great place for you to start. So before we really do anything, a really good option to do is just kind of draw an outside shape. In this case, I'm going to do a 10 by 10. This is just kind of a good general practice is to draw your outside shape first. And once you've done that, then draw whatever it is you're going to cut inside of there. Okay. Now, for us, we want to do some letters. So what we're going to do is we're going to just draw the letter A here. We're going to make it larger. Let's make it something like this. Okay. Kind of put it on center like this. Maybe make it bold. All right. So this is our letter. And essentially what we're going for here is a stack up style. So what I'm going to do is add a little 3D effect. So depending on your material thickness, you can kind of see the overall. So we're going to look at this. Let's say we're using quarter-inch material, right? We would have our backer would be a quarter-inch, and then we would have our letter being a quarter-inch. Okay, so we want to make sure that the letter is going up. So when you to switch which direction, you can just it's either this one or this one. So we're going to just make this a quarter-inch. And okay. So overall, a quarter-inch for the backer, a quarter-inch for the letter means a half-inch total. You can see I made a mistake here. So let's go back to our CAD tree. If the CAD tree isn't open, you go up to here, turn that on. On this one here, we're going to just edit what we selected. It appears that we picked up a face as well. So we're going to just remove that face. And then that way we just have the letter that we want to work with. All right. Again, we can hit S on our keyboard for shading. So we can toggle that on or off. And essentially, this is what we're doing here is we have our backer and then we have our letter. Now, in order to machine this, we need to add some pin locations. Okay. And we need to do that on the backer, but then we also need to do it on the letter. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some hole locations here. In this case, we're going to use just a quarter-inch dowel. Okay, and what I'll do is I put the 3D on its own layer so we can just turn it off and hide it so it's not in our way. And then, we can just pick a couple of locations. Now, this letter is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to use 3 pin locations, but, maybe you just use 2. The whole point is just to support the letter. So long, thin pieces, make sure we have some extra hole locations, making sure to support the letter on the back of. All right, now when we cut this out, we're going to mirror it. So to mirror the geometry, we'll go to Utilities. Utilities is where all of our editing is done. Come over here to Mirror. Go ahead and select what it is that we want to mirror. We're going to pick a line we want to mirror around. We'll select this line here, and then that way we have our letters that we want to cut out with their hole locations. And then over here, this A, we actually get rid of this. We don't need this one. We just need the hole locations for the backer. Okay. So on this side of the backer, or I'm sorry, should I say this side is the backer, and the only thing we need to do here is drill the holes. And then on this side, this is the letter cutout. Now, when we set up our material, we're going to put both of these in here. But what I'm actually going to do is just move it over to here. Okay, so we're going to go to Utilities and Translate. And I'm just going to move this guy over to here like this. I'm going to say OK. And then what I'm going to do is move both of these up and then inside of here. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is I haven't drawn my stock yet, but when we actually put this out of material, maybe it's a 24 by 24, it's a good idea to draw the material and the zero so you can see exactly what's going on. The same way that it would be out on the machine, you want to draw it in your CAD system. Okay, so the backer shape and we have the letters. So we're going to do the holes here, and then we'll cut out the outside shape for the backer, and then we're going to do the holes for the letter, and then we'll cut out the inside shape and the outside shape of the letter. And then we'll be able to pin these two together. We can paint them different colors. It's one of the methods you can use for indoor and outdoor signage is the pin method. Okay, so let's go over and get into the cam tree. This is where all the machining is done. So there's really 3 steps here. And every time you're thinking about a project, you want to break them up into these 3 steps. The first step is the CAD. So that's when we're drawing stuff. That's what we just did. We just did the CAD step. Okay. The second step is the CAM. That's where we're going to program where the tool is going to go to cut things out. And then the final step is the CNC. That's when we're out on the machine and we're running the machine. Now, the reason why I bring this up is in each of those different steps, you kind of think about different things. So you want to pay attention to different things, and you might even think that there's a different checklist for each one of those steps. Okay, so we did the first step, which was the CAD. Now we're going to do the CAM. Now, being the first time we're going through this, you can see that there's nothing in the CAM tree here. So what we can do is we can set up some defaults, and we can also load some templates, which make programming jobs like this easier, especially if it's something you do all the time. All right, so for us, we're going to just create a new job, and you'll pick the machine. This one's going to run on an industrial CNC router, probably one of the more common machines that are out there. Very popular, affordable. I just love them. They're really easy to set up and run. Highly, highly recommend them, especially if you're new to CNC, if you're in the signage, indoor, outdoor signage, print and cut type market. This is a good piece of equipment for you to cut your teeth on. Okay. All right. So from here, we're going to just set what the material thickness is. Okay. Our zero is going to be this corner. Depending on your machine, like when I come on site and I train you, we'll pick a position based on where the machine is and things around it. But you may pick a zero that makes more sense to you, or some of the more traditional locations is this upper corner here. You just really want to make sure the zero here matches the zero out at the machine. Once we've done that, we have our job set up. From here, we just want to come in here and make these holes. Now, you know, these machines, some machines have tool changers. These machines don't, or the industrials don't. And a lot of home-based machines or single function type equipment may or may not have tool changers, or you may have to change tools manually. So what we try to do is use a single tool for everything, and we look at our flute length, how much flute we have to cut, and our diameter of where we can cut. So we have 250 holes, so we're going to profile everything. We're going to use one operation and do everything one way, and we need to make sure our tool is small enough to fit where it needs to go. Okay, so if we're in a 250 hole here, our tool would either need to be 250 and just go down into that hole, or we would need it to be a smaller diameter than that in order to profile around it to offset. Okay, so for us, we're going to do a profile routine. Profiling is probably one of the most common things you would do. I'm going to just start by just picking these holes here. Our depth here, we're going to just make it a little bit deeper, 260. We're in 250 material, we're going to make it 260. We'll say okay on that. Now there's some different operations here, because once you select geometry, there's a bunch of different things you can do with it. For us, we're going to just use this rough routine. We're going to set our tool size. on 875. And then over here, our speeds and feeds, these particular industrial CNC routers, you control the spindle out at the machine, so we don't have to type that value there. And as far as cutting goes, I just cut everything at 50 inches a minute. This is a good starting point for most materials, especially something you would run on this equipment. And then it also kind of takes the guesswork out of how fast to run or not. We'll run at this speed, and then as we get more comfortable with it, we can turn up our overrides or start to run faster once we get more comfortable with how the machine moves and how to program and load programs and rerun programs. Okay? All right, so this looks good for here. The only other thing we want to check is that we're not going to leave anything for finish. And then we're going to just compute this, and you'll see the tool is going to come in here and run around that. Okay, now because the stock is showing, it looks blue, we can just come over here and hide that. So that way that's out of the way. And then again, this outside rectangle represents our stock, and these inside shapes represent what we want to cut. So we're going to pick what we want to cut. We're going to pick those holes. Let's pick these holes too, you know. I'm just window picking them. All right. And we'll say OK and recompute. Now, you'll notice that they're cutting on the inside. Sometimes they might be on the outside, or one might be on the outside, so you want to pay attention to that. In this case, again, I'm just going to continue to add more geometry. So we're going to set all this stuff here. The rectangle or the square here, because it's more than one shape, I'm going to hit Shift and left click on the profile to select it multiple entities at a time, or a chain. Okay, over here we can see all of our chain profiles, and if you zoom in, you'll see the arrows and where they start and what direction they're going to cut. All the inside shapes we want going counterclockwise, and the outside shapes we want going clockwise. If you have a vacuum table or not, your start position can play an impact on what happens. So we're going to just move these over to here, and I'm going to move this one over to there, and we'll click OK. We'll compute this, and we're looking to make sure the green geometry is on the outside. The green geometry, that's the center line of the tool where it's going to cut. So we just want to make sure that that's where it's supposed to be. And everything looks good here. All right. Now, one of the ways you can visually check your cut order or what side you're cutting is you can right click and go to backplot. Now, you're going to turn off your holder, and you really want to just look at the tool here. There's a couple of different views that you can go in, but I think you'll find this wireframe view will be helpful to show where that tool is. And you can see it's on the inside of that one there. It's on the inside of that one there, and it continues to go around. Now, I use this view a lot, but if you don't like that one, there's a 3D view. So we can go to simulation. You'll see that up here at the top where it says simulation. Just press start, and then that will show you your material and the material being removed. Okay, so we're going to see the cut order here. And again, we want to make sure that it's cutting our inside shapes first and then cuts our outside shapes. And it does. That looks good. Now, we got one tool. Everything's cut into a single depth. There's one operation here. It's starting where we want it to start, and it's cutting where we want it to cut. So the next thing we would do is a post, and we would post the program, and this would write all the G code. Okay, now what we'll do here is a post and save as, and save it to local, and then we move it to a thumb drive, and then we bring it out to the machine, and then we move it from the thumb drive to a folder on the desktop, and that's where we load our programs that we're going to run. And this is the workflow and the step for pinup style letters. Now, once you've done this, you can do this with all kinds of different shapes, different thicknesses of materials, and it's very easy to do and an effective way to create indoor and outdoor signage. If you guys have any questions about this video or any of our other videos, just reach out to us. You can go to our website, cadcamwizard.com, and click contact us, and it'd be great to talk with you. All right, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.